So, hi guys, welcome back to the classes. Today we'll be reading about Chaucer. If we are going to learn about Chaucer, it means at least two questions we can attend in net exams because for sure there will be questions from Chaucer every year in the net exams. And we'll be reading about other works of Chaucer in this. And for Canterbury Tales, we'll be having separate sessions so that it will be more clear for us. So first we'll be seeing about the age of Chaucer. An age of a poet is very important to be read because it influences a lot about the poet's work. So Chaucer was born between 1340 and he lived till 1400. So there were three kings who were ruling during his era and they were Edward III, Richard II and Henry IV. So it is important to understand the number of political things which should have happened during his period and which would have influenced him a lot. And there were a lot of wars, plagues, and religious restlessness which were happening during his era, and everything could be like seen in his writings also. And Chaucer held a number of governmental positions during these kings' eras that he was open to a lot of places, he was open to a lot of people, and he knew a lot of classes of people who were there in that society. So everything could be seen in Chaucer's writings. So, as said before, Chaucer knew three languages, which were Latin, French, and English, and he was writing in all the three languages. He was serving in a lot of fields during the royal period, and it were like he was working as a forester, he was a clerk, he was the customs authority, and he was also the authority of wine, etc. during the period of all these three kings. So it made him travel to a lot of places, and he was open to a lot of people, and all these could be seen in the writings of Chaucer. Chaucer is generally called the father of English poetry, and why do we call him is much more important to understand the contribution of Chaucer in English language and literature. The thing is, like there were also previous works which were written in English, but Chaucer proved to the world how flexible the language of English was. He verbalized the language and he used the verbal language in an art form more efficiently. So it was Chaucer who used the language perfectly as a verbal art form, and he legitimized the language of English by translating a lot of works written in other languages into English. So he knew Latin and French, and he was translating all those works into English, and this made English language being legitimized in the world of literature. And all the Chaucer's works were written in London dialect of late Middle English, which we have to never forget. So in those days, these writers they were like commissioned by someone to write a book. And first such commissioned work of Chaucer was the Book of the Duchess, which was written in 1340. And it was commissioned by John of Gaunt for his first wife's death. And Chaucer's first works were written mostly of French influenced writings. And two of his French influenced writings include the Book of the Duchess and the Romance of the Rose. Second part of his writing styles were mostly influenced by Latin, and most of the works which are written by the influence of Latin were The House of Fame, The Legend of Good Woman, The Parliament of Fowls, Troilus and Cressida, and Boethius translations. And final years of his writings were mostly in English, and the most important work which he wrote in English was the Canterbury Tales. Apart from Canterbury Tales, even the other writings of Chaucer should be given importance when it comes to net point of view, because there are also questions which are from Book of the Duchess, Parliament of Fowls, etc. So first we'll look into the Book of the Duchess, which is written by Chaucer. So the first poem, like we are looking into, is the Book of the Duchess. So Book of the Duchess is a poem, and it was written in Middle English, and it belongs to the literary genre of dream vision. This genre of dream vision is very important, and it is attributed to Chaucer mostly. So if someone says dream vision, the first word you have to think of is Chaucer. And the poem has a genre of romantic vision of courtly love. And this genre of romantic vision of courtly love was developed in France in the 12th century. We said you the first writings of Chaucer were influenced by French mostly. And so this genre of romantic vision of courtly love, which was used in the Book of the Duchess, is also French influenced writing. And what is this romantic vision of courtly love? What happens is there's a knight and he's hopelessly in love with some lady, and he thinks like nobody could save him in this world except for the lady. And this lady is usually imagined to be a physician who can save this knight. So, usually in this romantic vision of courtly love, there's a knight, there's a lady, and this knight is hopelessly in love with this lady, and this lady is called a physician who can save this guy. So, coming to the book of the Duchess, there is this poet who is like helpless and hopeless about not having enough sleep, and the poet thinks he will die sooner or later because of his lack of sleep, and there's only one person who can save him, but that person won't help him. And this is indirectly meaning that there's this physician lady who can help him, this lady he loves who can help him to get rid of this lack of sleep, but she won't come to save him. So, in the beginning of the poem, the poet is not able to sleep, so he's reading a book, and the book is about CS and Alcyone. CS is going on a sea voyage, and he is like not returning. So, Alcyone is very worried, and she prays to God Juno. Juno is actually answering her prayers through sending a form of God Morpheus, who is also symbolizing death. So, she understands that Alcyone, I mean, like CS is dead, and so she goes on a grief, and after 3 days, she dies because of the sorrow. And the writer is awestruck by this concept of love, determination, and prayers and being answered by God. So what he does is instantly he is also praying to God Juno, and he falls asleep instantly, and he has a dream. So there comes this concept of dream vision. So he has a dream, and in that dream he's waking up on a May morning. So it's a May morning, May month morning, and he's waking up, and instantly he's joining a group of people who are going into hunting into the forest, and when they're going into the forest, he is losing his way, and when he loses the way, he finds a knight sitting in the forest who is mourning for his lost love. So now the poet, he goes and he disturbs the knight in order to soothe him. He's talking about a lot of people who have lost in the hands of fate. But this knight, he's completely unaware of anyone this poet is mentioning, and he tells nobody could be compared to his lover. So this poet, he finally understands the amount of love this knight has for his lover and how special she was. And later on, the poet hears a returning group of hunting people, and he joins them. And when he wakes up from this when he wakes up from this dream, he thinks this love story is so wonderful, and immediately he pens it down. So it is all about the Book of the Duchess, and the story of Book of the Duchess is about this knight and his love, and how this poet has his dream vision. So once when we wrote our net exams, there was a question from House of Fame about what animal or bird comes in this House of Fame, and the answer was golden eagle. So this poem is one of the most important poems of Chaucer when it comes to net perspective, and it's a poem of more than 2,000 lines. It was a lengthy poem, but still it was written and it was left unfinished, and it is written in a dream vision, just like Book of the Duchess. It is also written in a dream vision. And in the beginning itself, Chaucer tells the readers not to misjudge the dream he's going to tell about, and he assures that he will tell the full dream in length. But he fails to do so, and it is like the poem is left unfinished. So the poet is in a glass temple in the beginning of the poem, and he's seeing the images of Venus, Vulcan, and Cupid, which indirectly means it is a temple for the goddesses Venus. I'll tell you how Venus, Vulcan, and Cupid were related. Venus is the wife of Vulcan, and both of them are gods, and Cupid is the son of Venus and Vulcan. So in that temple, he's seeing a brass tablet where there's a story of Annette, and it indirectly means he's reading a story of failed women in love in the temple of Venus. So Venus is known for love, and he's reading a story of failed women in love. And the poet prays to Christ to save him from this illusion. He's in a glass temple, right? So he finds everything is an illusion, and he prays to Christ to save him. And as soon as he prays, a golden eagle comes towards him, and there ends the book one. So there are three books in this which Chaucer wrote, and the end of the book one is about a golden eagle who comes and who's like trying to catch Chaucer. So in the beginning of the second book, the eagle lifts the poet, and so in fear the poet faints, and the eagle wakes him up, and he tells Chaucer is going to be rewarded by the god Juno for his dedication and his prayers. And so Venus is so happy about Chaucer being so dedicated and being being praying to him. So like this eagle comes and he tells he will take him to the house of fame as a reward. So the eagle tells Chaucer that it will take him to the house of fame, and it also tells that the goddess's fame can actually hear everything that is happening in this world. And to make Chaucer understand how everything could be heard by the goddess's fame, he talks about a lot of things. He talks about gravity, water, ripple, etc. And he tells the sound is a form of broken light. So as like how we put a stone and it falls downward to this world, when light is broken, it goes upward to the heavens. So sound is a broken light and it can travel upwards to the heaven. And in the heaven, the house of fame goddesses fame can actually hear it. So in the beginning of the third book, they both arrive to the mount of the house of fame, and the house of fame is actually built in a very big rock. And this poet, Chaucer, can actually see a lot of names being written in ice, and these names written in ice are actually fading away. So it also means when the shadow of house of the fame is not falling on something, the fame fades away. So in this iceberg, the shadow of the house is not falling, so the fame of those people whose names are written in it are actually fading. So the poet is being taken into the house where he sees a lot of musicians who are dead still playing in that house of fame, and many are waiting in the queue to get their tags of fame or infame. And the god Aeolus decides who can get the fame or infame. And the goddesses of fame is actually having a lot of many eyes, ears, and tongues, which means everything that is spoken, seen, or heard can be getting into her. So he's being taken to the actual house where this fame is actually residing, and this house is being in the form of a spin, and this house is keeping on spinning in a very vibrant way, and it is also emitting a lot of noise. So the house makes a loud noise when it spins. And Chaucer says if the house is going to be in a river called Oils, this is a river which is in France. So if this house is going to be in a river of oils, it can be heard till Rome. So that much sound this house is making. And when he's talking about all these and hearing a lot of lies or truths which is being spoken and which can be heard in the house when he's inside, there's an unnamed man who comes, who makes an entry into this house. And as soon as this unnamed man or the mystery man enters, the whole house becomes silent. So this man can actually dumb the noise which is happening in that house, and Chaucer is awestruck. And there ends the book. And so this poem actually ends unfinished. So thank you guys. We'll see you in the next class. And in the next slides, we'll be talking about the rest of the works of Chaucer, and then we'll be talking about the Canterbury Tales incomplete in the third slides. So thank you guys. Do subscribe and do share with your friends and do support us. Thank you.